Hello, 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 and welcome to the Medical Mindset Coach podcast. My name is Star Freudenberg, and I am also known as the Medical Mindset Coach. Today is a really massive day because this is the day where I've finally been able to launch my first episode. So for me, this has been a baby that I've been birthing for so many years, and now finally the time is right. So this is a very exciting time for me, and what I wish to do is just share with you all the knowledge that I am accumulating from all around the world and sharing it to you in a very easy and practical way to help you become more informed, to help you become self-empowered, and help you to become the best version of you. Because this will help you start to figure out who you truly are and what your purpose on this planet is, and then actually achieve that. Because I really wondered to myself how many people actually would go onto their deathbed and think, I didn't really do what I came here to do. And if you are somewhat open to reincarnation or rebirth or karma, then you may just come back here again and repeat the same old lesson until you actually do what you're meant to do. So why not skip all of that and let me help you, like a teacher or a referee or facilitator on the sidelines, to guide you to the path of your destiny. So the question is, how do I do that? Everyone is a healer. You just have to figure out what is your signature. I always say, what is your signature, your essence, so your expression of how you heal. So chefs, they do it through the love of food. Musicians and artists do it through the love of music and creative expression. For me, my specialization is working with the whole body, the mind, the body, and the soul. So working with the well-being emotionally, physically, and spiritually, or the energetic self, if you're not that open to these kind of foreign terms. So what do I actually do? So besides for talking, I am a qualified medical professional specializing in a lot of modalities that function in a sense of helping you heal yourself in a holistic manner. What that means, naturally. I'm talking without pharmaceuticals, without Western medicine type of tools. It's trying to teach you how to naturally figure out what's wrong with you, heal yourself, and then become the best version of yourself. So the work that I specialize in is doing everything that a doctor does according to Western medicine, but helping to do it naturally. So a lot of people, I would say, actually is going as far as to say, are quite programmed to believe, like Simon says, do this. When a doctor says, take this, this is what people do. And what I've seen to identify with all my patients that come to me, who are usually coming to me as a last resort because Western medicine has failed them, is that they don't have the cause of their problems treated. They have their symptoms treated. And by treating the symptoms, they take a whole bunch of pharmaceuticals, and while treating, and I'm going to use inverted, I call them the bunny ears, while treating them superficially and taking pharmaceuticals, that causes a new problem or a new issue, because pharmaceuticals are very harsh on the body, so that especially is harsh on the liver, and then you're weakening your system. So when you accumulate over the years all of these things that you're taking, and it just might be simple things, just even like painkillers, things for your headaches or cramps, or I think those are good enough examples. Basically, then people start to get sick and they don't understand why. And then all people tend to do is just say, oh, well, that is what getting older is all about. These things happen. And that is a very incorrect belief system that people are following by, because, people go, oh, old men have distended bellies, people have back pain, people don't sleep properly, people have a lot of gas, people have headaches, people have memory or brain fog, memory issues, and they think this is all normal and it's part of the aging process, but it's not actually the case. It's simply due to a lack of awareness on basics on how to look after yourself. And today is what my whole podcast is going to be about. It's just giving you little tips and tricks and information to create this awareness of how to look after yourself better. And especially when there's certain diseases or common ailments I'm speaking about, or common symptoms that people have, I'll just tell you a few tips and tricks to incorporate into your day-to-day routine, and you will start to notice significant changes. So who am I? One of the hardest things I struggle with is to give myself a title, because the way that I operate at the moment is I work in an unconventional sense, because I have so many modalities under my belt that doesn't frame me into one specific category. And yet I also don't want to be boxed into one. I want to be all encompassing, because I can really, really help people with a lot of different issues and problems and ailments of all types, sorts and kind, which is what I love. I love to have the most difficult cases, because this is where you can see the true transformation happen, because this is a person who has their physical system not working the way that they want, the emotional system, the mindset, and also the spiritual aspect or the energetic self that's not working. And so rather than giving myself sort of a medical title or anything of the sort, I've come up with an all-encompassing term, which is a personal transformation coach. I've gone through the previous titles of being a therapist, a practitioner, a healer, a counselor. I even went as far to say a detox and trauma specialist, or even a self-empowerment facilitator, where I had these lovely titles that I came up with that I haven't heard around before, and they're really good, but also not very self-explanatory. So, when you have a business, you need to make it quite obvious in the title what it is you do, like a laundry services. Then you go, okay, I know that does laundry. So when you say a self-empowerment facilitator, what does that mean? Or a detox and trauma specialist, what does that mean? And some people don't even know that the things that they have, that they're suffering with, need a form of detox, or even understand that what they're experiencing is actually a trauma, because trauma can be on many layers and scale of, sort of a hierarchy of small trauma to a significant trauma. Because people think it's significant, or trauma is, rather than to say significant, a trauma is a massive car accident or someone being raped. Whereas actually a small trauma, which you would not even think twice about, is if you're walking across the street and it's your right of way, and actually a car didn't stop as they were meant to, and you almost got knocked over, you go, you don't understand the knock-on effect that has on your body. Your body has experienced a trauma in a sense, because trauma is not just an actuality or an event that has happened. It can be also a perceived event. So your body would have been like, I almost got knocked over. And your body's physiological response is going through the processes of having had that event occur. But luckily, not all the physical damage on top. But then we sort of brush it off, ignore it, then move on with our day-to-day, because we're living in such a stressful environment that we don't even get time to stop and process. And this is where people then start to accumulate these little bags and pockets of traumas, and this is when people will have a breakdown, or people will not be able to function at some point when something really significant happens, because it's just this bottleneck after bottleneck after bottleneck, and people just don't stop for one moment and think to themselves, how am I doing? Am I okay? And I recommend to my clients or patients to do this, what I call the check-in exercise. When you come home at the end of the day, just take a moment to yourself, away from your family, away from everyone else. Just go sit somewhere in a quiet space that you frame as your safe space. And you just sit for the moment and you take that deep breath in, and then you let out all the stress of your day. You're just like, geez, that was a big day. And sort of give yourself that space for reflection. And then when you do that, simultaneously check in with yourself. Check in with your physical body. Because our body is like another language, body communication. It's like a separate language, people speaking in foreign Spanish, French, Russian, etc. What is your body communicating to you, saying? Do you have a pain somewhere? Is there an ache somewhere? Is there something that needs to be noticed or picked up? But equally, your emotional / mindset, how is that doing? Check in with yourself there. And this is also a good time to have a journal, just to write and reflect. What are the emotions that are coming up? What are you feeling? What were your triggers of the day? What is your emotional response to all of these things? So you can have an accurate understanding of where you are at in your moment right now. Because this is how we start to identify the triggers of what could be potentially something bigger if it gets left unaddressed, like an open wound. And this is the first place, awareness, that brings change and transformation into your life. And this is what I aspire to helping people do. So I work healing the mind, the body, the soul, the energy aspects of a being. We are a very complicated organism. But the first place I start with is always the physical, because I see it like a seesaw, with the physical on the one side and the emotional on the other. There's 100% in this box, and the distribution will go left or right. When you are physically unwell, all of that attention and percentage will be focused on the physical. So what I like to do is first reset the body, restore, repair, regenerate, re-energize. And then that will take away that heaviness and weight that will bring the balance back, either into complete balance or give you that extra space and energy to then start addressing the emotional or mindset or behavioral or patterns that you have that are not so positive, that you'd like to change and transform in your life to help you become the better version or the best version of yourself. And that is what my work is about, in summary. But how I got to this was not just I woke up and I was like, boom, this is what I'm doing with my life. I too had to start on a journey. And this is what makes me one of the best people to be able to help you in your processes, because I've gone through this in many ways, shapes and forms that I can't even describe in one podcast, because obviously I could write a few books about it, which I will in the future be publishing. But I've gone through a lot, which has enabled me and empowered me to be empathetic, understanding and relatable to people with what they're going through and how to help them best, because I had to go through the struggle myself. But I didn't wake up one day and go, I'm a healer and this is the job I know that I'm supposed to be doing. I actually started my journey as a chartered accountant, having worked for Deloitte. But I left this unfulfilling 9-year career with a lot of illness, with a lot of depression, with a lot of fatigue, and just in summary, just feeling completely lost and not sure of what my next path was. And all that really happened is that I took a risk. I took a huge gamble to leave a career that on paper is solid and grounded and guaranteed for life. But what it definitely guaranteed was a lack of happiness and a lack of balance with life. And these were the two things that I said, I do want to be happy. And I do want to have a balance in my life and do the things that I want and be with the people when I want and not be dictated by society's conditioning of how things should be. I want to set my own rules, my own flexibility to be the person that makes me me. But I need to find out who is that person, and that's where my journey began. And that's what I strive to do with you on your journey, is to find out when you were at some point in your youth and said you wanted to be X when you grow up. And I try help you with the realistic boundaries of your current reality. If you're married with kids and you have certain responsibilities, how we can get all those little bite-sized nuggets eaten little bit by little bit, and then you'll see the progress as time evolves and shifts and changes, because a mountain cannot be moved. It's impossible, but you can move one stone at a time, and after some period of time you will see that a whole mountain got moved. But that comes with the consistency, that comes with the discipline, that comes with motivation and persistency, and really how much do you want this. But that is where you need a coach and a mentor to keep you on track, to keep you with your goals, and to keep you motivated. And that's what I do. So, I think that is enough for today, for episode 1, just to get an understanding of who I am and what is my essence. But I'm a very enthusiastic, very curious, very keen and involved person who is so in service and wants to help and desires to help you. And this purpose of this podcast, again, is just to launch information out there, bite-sized information, just to get tips and tricks on basic ways of living, things you should know that you probably had no idea and would have never thought about, just to create awareness. And then I will start to, in a number of episodes later, interview some really, really amazing people that I've met in my life, some who are my mentors and some who have such really rare and special information out that needs to be put out there for people to know, because there's just so much information out there, like I've said already, that you don't know where to look now, as we're in a era of information overload. And that will mark my session for today. So stay tuned for episode 2, and I look forward to connecting. And please, if you can, support this channel, subscribe, do all the lovely things that everyone always. As I've mentioned, my podcast is the Medical Mindset Coach, and that is equally the name of my website, www.medicalmindsetcoach. I am on Instagram at the Medical Mindset Coach, on Facebook, on LinkedIn under my name, Star Freudenberg. And that will be the episode for today. So thank you so much for listening to this. Please stay tuned for when the next episode uploads. Wishing you a wonderful evening, morning, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I'm gonna leave a nice quote for you. And today's quote is, reputation is what people think you are. Character is what you really are. Stay tuned and catch you on the next episode. This is the Medical Mindset Coach, hosted by Star Freudenberg.